Good morning and welcome to Unfiltered Vision News. And good morning and welcome to Unfiltered Vision News, bringing you the news unfiltered Monday through Friday. Thank you guys so much for joining me here on this Prayer with Friday. So let's start with honoring God with our body. So, God, please guard our mind and our thoughts. God, help me to fix my thoughts on what is true and honorable and right and pure and lovely and admirable. So I will think about things that are excellent and worthy of praise. God, please protect our ears and help us listen to your voice. God, help me to be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. God, please protect my eyes from sin's damage. God, I make a covenant with my eyes not to look lustfully. God, please speak life over my mouth. God, set a guard over my mouth. Lord, keep watch over the doors of my lips. God, please help our hands to serve generously. God, help me to do good to everyone, and especially to those who belong to our family in the faith. God, please protect our reproductive organs. Help us to honor you with purity. God, help me to honor you with my body. And God, please protect our feet as we walk along your path. God, let your word be a lamp for my feet and a light on my path. So again, thank you guys for joining us here on Prayer with Friday here on Unfiltered Vision News. We've got a lot of territory to cover. So let's get into it. Let's start with our trending topics on X. And one of them that I wanted to bring up, what I thought was very fascinating, Elon Musk actually retweeted this from Kevin Bass, and it says the truth is that there are vastly more hate crimes and especially aggravated rape and murder per person by blacks against whites than any other way around. That is not remotely debatable as the numbers are so extremely lopsided. Interesting. So last year, the DOJ published a report for every 10,000 blacks, 153 violent crimes are committed by a black person each year against a white person. So we're committing far more crimes than are being committed against us. And what I find fascinating about the numbers is if this were actually true, and this is why I said actually, you would really only see less than 1 million black people walking around free because everybody else would be either incarcerated or unalived. There would be none of us. If these numbers are really accurate, it would be like seeing a unicorn. If you ever saw a person that was a Black American. So there is a difference between someone who's a Black American and someone who is Caribbean or Jamaican or African or just a melanated person. And see, they try to throw out this whole people of color thing and stop that. Stop it. You are either an American Negro or you are not. So when you say this, who are you talking about? Are you talking about just melanated humans overall? Right? Or are you talking about a specific ethnicity of people? So that's, in my opinion, where the numbers get a little skewed. But now I wanted to go to a different topic that I came across this morning, and this is Tish Hyman. She was actually also running for mayor of Los Angeles. She didn't get a lot of push. She did at the beginning of her campaign, and then it kind of, I don't want to say it fizzled out, but then, Spencer Pryor came into the race, and it is what it is, as we see. So she is she's the woman who spoke to Rawkana, and she was also the same woman who has encountered, I should say, men in the women's locker room. And we're going to hear her speak. But I wanted to read her caption. It says, I stood up when it mattered, not just for me, but for women's safety. That's who I am. I will always speak truth, even when it's hard. If you believe in standing up for what's right, support this video and stay with me on this journey together as we amplify this message. And that was really a big part of her campaign. She wanted to make sure that women were safe in their spaces. Now, truth be told, she is someone who does live an alternative lifestyle. She, is a professed lesbian. I mean, she said that, not me. It's out there. It's on video. But at the same time, she's still a woman, and she should not have to deal with men in her space. I mean, what are we talking about? So let's check out her video.
As a feeling of vulnerability, I turned around to a man. I was in shock. I said, sir, I didn't even get a sentence out before I heard, you can't tell me nothing. Any word, I'm a woman. I was in shock. I was scared. I told him to leave. He would not leave. I had no regard for my naked body standing there. The staff came in. Their hands were tied. They just looked at me and said, there's nothing we can do. In a 2-week span, 4 times in that bathroom, I turned around to men and they're naked. 4 times. And I reported it to the people in the front. Thank you. I reported it to the people in the front. They did nothing. They did absolutely nothing. And there was other girls in there, and they were scared. They didn't know what to say. That's a feeling of vulnerability.
Yeah. And that's a difficult position. And see, people keep just assuming, oh, that's not happening. It's happening. It's definitely happening in LA. And for a man to tell you, you can't tell me anything. I can be in here if I want to. Why do what? We have separate spaces for a reason, and it's really for protection at the end of the day, because some people aren't wrapped too tight. Let's just be honest about that one. But to be fair, you can't even go to the gym. You can't in LA, because if you do that, you will turn around with a man professing that he is a woman, a full man, not transition, none of that, a full blown man. So people that have a mental illness can now say that they are women and invade women's spaces. And that's where we're at. This just where we're at. Now, this one I came across was really interesting. This Caucasian man tells the Asian community that white culture is not their friend. I found this one fascinating. I really did.
So I've been seeing this online. I haven't meaning to address it. And there's been certain Asian people on here. And I know that they do not represent the entire Asian community when I say this. So anyone in the Asian community that's been following what I'm saying, that supports what I'm saying, that supports rights and freedom and just, good vibes for all, this ain't aimed at y'all. So hopefully y'all don't take offense to this. But for those in the Asian community that are going after the black community, y'all need to stop. Okay? Y'all need to stop showing out for crackers, because they are not y'all's friends. Last time I checked, crackers are the only people that have never dropped an atomic bomb on Japan. They're the only people that have dropped Agent Orange on Vietnam. They're the only people that did the My Lai massacre. And that's just off the top of my head. So white people are not y'all's friends. They have never been. Crackers have never been y'all's friends. But the black community has had y'all's backs. Like, any rights y'all have is because of the rights that Black America fought for. So y'all need to really recalibrate who's on your side, who's had y'all's backs, and who's y'all's enemies. Because white people are not y'all's friends. They never have been. And unless something major changes with white culture, they're going to keep going and doing the same shit they've always been doing. And y'all going to be catching the brunt end of it just along with everyone else that isn't them. So, just let y'all know.
Yeah, I found that fascinating. And then this was just weird, y'all. Okay. I know he's a liberal. I can tell. But he makes a great point, and he's not wrong. I'm just saying. And I'm not saying it's blanketed any culture, but I'm just saying on its face, where are most of the Asian restaurants? They are not in predominantly Caucasian communities. They're just not. They aren't. Just saying. Now, Glenn Beck says, what a disgrace. The Knicks should come out with a strong statement from the players. Who would want fans like this? So a Knicks fan attacked a Five Guys employee for wearing he was wearing a Spurs jersey. Like, so you cannot be on an opposing team anymore. Look what happens, you guys. Like, this is insane what happens. Like, I'm gonna put it big so you guys can see it. This is crazy.
I'm not doing that. Nah, you Gucci gang, you Gucci. You Gucci gang? Oh!
Yeah, this is in New York City.
Nigga, they not attacking us. Oh, they killing him. Oh!
Yeah. And he's trying to work. He's trying to do his job. Five Guys. What are you going to say about this? This is a Five Guys restaurant. This is an actually pretty prominent establishment. I'm like, whoa, what is really going on? Now let's get into some quick topics. So a protest erupts in Belfast over stabbing by Sudanese refugees. So several protests erupted in Belfast this week over a knife attack by a Sudanese refugee on a local resident Monday night. Outlets on the left emphasized the impact of the protest and violence following the attack, while right-leaning outlets, they probably said something else. But that is okay. So the world is, is on fire right now. Some other topics, how the Epstein files created conflict in Trump's team. I'm sure it did. And then, did the Pentagon raise Israel's espionage threat level to critical? And we did go over in the show just some situations going on with a bill that has not yet been passed. It has been introduced. It has not been passed. And I hope it is not passed, because we should not be integrated with any other country's intelligence, and they should not be integrated in ours. We are sovereign. We need to remember that. Now, the next topic that I wanted to get to was, of course, we're going to get back to this whole voting thing. Now, I don't think there's anything we can do right now to really save what's going on. Oh, wait, let me see if I had another X topic that I wanted to get to. Did I get to everything? Yeah, I got to everything. All right. Just making sure, guys. Just making sure. Okay. So this is apparently, I played the video maybe a couple months ago. James O'Keefe, he was talking about voters and how people were on Skid Row getting paid to vote. So let's check this out. This isn't James O'Keefe. This is another separate outlet reporting on this as well.
Oh,
I live on Skid Row.
and then did they come down here and try and pay you to vote?
Yes.
On a ballot?
Yes.
How much they pay you?
$5.
And they said, here, come and vote for these candidates?
Yes, sir.
They told you who to vote for?
Yes.
So they told you to vote for Karen Bass or Cynthia Rahman?
Karen Bass.
Did you vote for Karen Bass?
Yeah.
For $5?
Yeah.
Did you vote?
Yeah.
Oh, you did for Karen Bass?
Yeah. Karen Bassett.
Or
That's what I was saying, Bassett?
Karen Bass, yeah.
Yeah.
Or Nithya Rahman?
Karen.
Karen? They told you to vote for Karen?
Yeah, they had to sign a little thing.
They said, and how much they pay you?
It was like $2.
$2? Oh, to sign off on a thing to vote for her?
Yeah.
They say, oh, do you want to vote for Karen or Nithya? Or they just really just tell you to vote for Karen, huh?
It was voting her, man. They gave you an optional choice, but they tell you who they want you to vote for.
Or they tell you who you want to vote for. So like, yo, we'll give you $2, but you got to vote for one of these people.
Well, you know, I'm a barterer, man. So I got $4.
You got what?
$4.
Botox?
$4.
$4? Oh, you got...
Yeah, I don't. You know, since I'm voting your way, can I get a plate? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so $4, they're like, hey, you got to vote for one of these candidates, not Spencer. You do Karen or Nithya.
Yeah, well, it was that was Bass one for me. I mean, that was the one I was suggested for. I don't give a fuck.
Got it.
You know what I mean?
And you're like, yo, give me $4 and I'll do it.
Yeah, why not? Shit.
And so they do this for everybody out here?
Yeah, they come out here all the time.
How often do they come down here?
Probably like 3 times a week.
3 times a week?
Hell
To
yeah.
get the ballots?
Yep.
Wow. And so you know other people too that voted too?
Actually, anybody that's registered,
Yeah.
you know, half the motherfuckers down on parole or probation, but you know how it is. You know.
Man, it's crazy. That's you be living
Life
out.
is today, man.
Yeah. Anybody, you heard him. Anybody who's registered. So, and that said, is it a crime for people to pay people to vote? Yes, it is a crime under U.S. federal law to pay or offer to pay people to vote, to withhold a vote, or to vote for or against a particular candidate. So they did not only commit one crime, they committed 2 because they were telling them who to vote for, and then they paid them to vote. Can't do either one of those things. But that's what's happening in California. And I will leave the link for you guys so you can check this out later. Now, the next, I want to say news article I wanted to get to, but I came across this newscast. It's from Chicago, and they're going over the cases that are going to be done by the Supreme Court. They've got like 23 cases on their docket right now. So let's check this out.
For the U.S. Supreme Court, which goes on recess at the end of the month, and there are 23 undecided cases here. Could any of those decisions be announced today or in the coming weeks? Joining us to run us through some of the possibilities and what is still outstanding here is Professor Stephen Caliendo with North Central College. Professor, thanks for being here.
It's great to be with you, yeah.
I want to start off by asking you about this birthright citizenship situation. This is a case called Trump versus Barbera. Run us through kind of the nuts and bolts here and what, I mean, birthright citizenship, this would involve a constitutional change,
Absolutely right. I mean, so this is a question, and almost always the court is talking about constitutional questions, right? But this one is really interesting because it has to do with an interpretation of what appears to be very clear language in the Constitution, that if you were born in the United States under its jurisdiction, unless you are born of someone who is a diplomat, that is not subject to the laws of the United States, you're a citizen. And that is not common. In other words, other European countries don't have that. Birthright citizenship is sort of unique. But it's been a fixture of the United States for well over 100 years, right after the Civil War. The Trump administration is arguing that that amendment, that part of the 14th Amendment, was designed only to apply to the children of formerly enslaved persons.
So that it doesn't.
It's a very narrow interpretation. So that's what we're waiting for the Supreme Court to hear. I think it would be very surprising if they overturn it. It would be surprising to me if it's anything but 9-0.
Got it. Okay, unanimous.
That's
okay,
right.
The next case, this is called Little versus Hecox, and there's actually 2 involved here.
Yes.
West Virginia versus BJP. This has to do with transgender athletes,
That's
correct?
Right. Yeah, the reason there's 2 cases, there's one at the collegiate level, and then there's one at the high school level. So that's the reason why they're looking at both cases. And so, right, the question is, where do trans persons' rights stop and cisgender persons' rights begin? Should trans women and girls in particular be allowed to play in sports that are typically reserved for cisgender women?
Okay, so any outlook? Do you expect this to go on kind of where the justices fall ideologically?
This one, sort of, there's a guns case. There's some of these real typical cases. I think we can fairly predict that, you know, we have the 6-3 conservative majority. Yeah. They're probably going to fall that way. It may not be 6-3, it may be 5-4. It'll probably fall that way. But some of these others that deal with the president's power, there's there's more questions involved with those.
Okay, it's a big primary year here, election year. This case, Watson versus RNC, is still outstanding right now, and this has to do with mail-in ballots that arrive after Election Day, correct?
Well, not necessarily arrive after Election Day, that are counted after Election Day. And that's the question. But a number of states prohibit ballots counting if they arrive after election, or if they're not postmarked after Election Day. They got to be postmarked by Election Day. And the Republican National Committee is arguing, no, you vote on Election Day, and that's the only time you vote. You might be able to have overseas for folks who are serving in the military, et cetera, but we shouldn't be doing widespread mail-in balloting.
Okay, another case involving the president as well, Trump versus Slaughter. This has to do with whether the president has the power to fire the heads of agencies that are independent, or supposed to be independent.
Typically, yeah, we have understood, at least since the 1930s, to be operating independently. They are part of the executive branch. There's no question about that. They're not part of the legislative or judicial. So if you're in the federal government, you got to be in one of those three branches. But they're not under the jurisdiction of a president the way employees of a company might be under the jurisdiction of a CEO, for instance, or a president. And so there's this question of whether he has the right to do that. And then there's a separate question involving a Fed board member that the court's taking up separately to say whether or not that institution has more independence even than these other institutions that we've believed to be independent for the last 100 years.
Okay, so I know there are, let's see, probably a couple dozen.
Yeah, we didn't get to a dozen.
We don't have time, but in the coming weeks, how does this usually roll out? Because they're expected to go on recess.
That's right.
How do you, on, let's see, Thursdays of each?
Thursdays,
I mean, is this when they've been releasing?
10 o'clock Eastern time on Thursdays. The court will open session. There's a couple boxes that are sitting there, and it depends how many boxes there are, but that's how you know how many cases there are going to be. And they're read by the order, that reverse seniority order of the justice who wrote the opinion. And so you can get some sense about who starts, knowing how many are going to be left, right? If Ketanji Brown Jackson reads the first one, you go, oh, wow, there's 8 justices left. We could have a number of opinions today. Last couple of weeks, we've only had 2 or 3 each Thursday. Those numbers aren't going to add up if they really want to get done by the 4th of July, which I think they do.
They're busy.
Yeah, they're busy.
Okay, Professor Caliendo, good to see you. Thanks for breaking that all down for us. And we will Caliendo with North Central College.
Now, I thought that was very interesting, especially the birthright citizenship one, and then the Fed chair. I was like, okay, the Federal Reserve, first of all, isn't federal. They have a contract with the United States that put them in place and ongoing, that we have to use them to borrow money, and then we have to pay interest through the Treasury. Like, it's stupid. It shouldn't be. But you're saying the president does not have jurisdiction over that? Like, what? So you've created a monster, and we have to deal with it. I'm just saying. Now, we're going to get to this next video. When I came across this yesterday, I was like, oh yeah, we need to talk about this.
Stay with me. I want to talk about serial killers because it's something I just can't get out of my head, and I have to talk to y'all about it. Remember when the nation was obsessed with the serial killers? Like, genuinely obsessed. The 70s and 80s, right? Bundy, Gacy, Dahmer. Every week there seemed to be a new one on the news. Task forces, documentaries. Your mama wouldn't let you walk to the bus stop by yourself for fear that you'd get snatched up. Rightfully so. And then one day it just kind of stopped, right? Weird. Like, where did they go? So I've been sitting with this for a minute because nobody ever really answers it. For me, anyway. The FBI says that there are dozens that are still active right now. But the panic? Gone. The headlines? Moved on. And nobody ever circled back to ask the obvious question. Right? So I looked up the profile. The actual FBI checklist from back then. And y'all, good Lord. Superficial charm. Grandiose sense of self. Pathological lying. No empathy, no remorse, and need for control. Manipulative, impulsive. Willing to hurt people without it bothering them. Can perform normal in public while being something completely different in private. Now, I know y'all know how to roll this thing back, rewind on here. Listen to that part again, right? And tell me, honestly, which of those traits actually disqualify someone from running this country? I'll wait, because I went through it like 4 times and I couldn't find not one. Not a single one. Disturbing, isn't it? In fact, those traits are basically the resume now. We call it charisma, we call it ambition. We call it killer instinct and say it like it's a good thing. Now, here's the part that really got me. There's a psychologist named Robert Hare. He literally wrote the diagnostic checklist for psychopathy, like the official one. And he said the quiet part out loud years ago. The same traits that show up in violent offenders show up in executives and politicians. It's the same wiring. The only thing that's different is what they do with it. One version ends up in a cell, the other ends up on a debate stage. You get me? Same person, different outfit. So where did the serial killers go? I genuinely think that some of them just figured it out. There's actually research on this now. They call it successful psychopathy. They've studied it in finance and politics, and the rates are way higher than in the general population, which should scare you. Because, like, statistically, there's data that's there saying all this. So no, unfortunately, serial killers did not disappear. I think they just got smarter. They put on a suit. Figured out that the violence is cleaner if the system does it for you. And the country that used to make documentaries about them kind of just makes them president now.
Not only do they make them president, they make them senators and congressmen and even mayors. And they're not always men. I want to put that out there. They're not. Sociopaths and psychopaths, at the end of the day, don't mind people dying. They have no empathy at all. And they're okay with it. Now, I did try to break this down really quick. So I wanted to point out a few things in the video, right? That I basically asked the question. I said, who are some of the world leaders, executives that fit the profile, right? I was like, okay, who really fits this profile? Well, some honorable mentions are Richard Nixon, right? He's got manipulation, lack of remorse, and scandals. Henry Kissinger, right? Real politic decisions criticized for callousness. And then it also brought up for the charm and control personas. Comments on the video itself reference U.S. political figures like Donald Trump, charisma, grandiose style, or Stephen Miller, cold policy execution. And then, of course, we've got CEOs that fall under this mindset. And some notable ones might be Elon Musk. Okay, Elon, you created Grok. Penja. Okay. I just wanted to put that out there. So I said, can you provide me a link to a study she's referring to? So here's the link for the study. I will definitely put the link in the repost so you guys can see that. And I said, is there an ethnic breakdown? Like who are we talking about, right? Is there a balance or there not? And it says there was a 2010 study that was done. It says Talking the Walk, okay, by Newman and Hare. That was the gentleman that actually wrote the psychopic story or outline. And here's the breakdown in demographics. So 91% of Caucasians have this mindset I won't say of an alleged serial killer, but I would say they have the general makeup and outline, 91%. Now, you saw earlier, I showed you that it says that Black people commit most of the violent crimes and murders. But how do you classify murder? So if you bomb and kill 50,000 people, are you a murderer? Or are you just doing your job? Yeah. 2.5% are Asian, 1% are African American. Right? 2.5% are Hispanic, and 3% are other origins. So we're the lowest in the crazy category. But somehow, we're still committing more crimes than anybody else. How does that make sense? It doesn't. It doesn't. And, I bring up topics like this because these are definitely the things that we need to pray for and pray about. Because something is really wrong in our country where we are okay with people who have the mindset that it is okay to unalive other people so that we can get ahead or do anything else, right? So, God, thank you so much for this Prayer with Friday. Thank you so much for today, just getting us through this week. God, we're so thankful just for everything you've given us and everything that you're going to do. But God, we are praying for this country. We are praying for better leaders that are empathetic, that are sympathetic, leaders that actually do care about the American people. Because for far too long, we have been following people and not looking to you. And you are where our help and our strength comes from. And that's what's really, it needs to be turned around, God. Again, we are so grateful and so thankful for everything. We're praying for safe travels this weekend or going into a new beginning. We are praying for people's family members, those who may have lost loved ones, over maybe the past few days or weeks. God, we're praying for those individuals that are having babies and praying that they are good stewards as parents to raise those children, people that are getting married, Father, and coming into a totally new life, starting with their significant other as they become one, God. Again, we are so grateful and so thankful for everything that you're doing, everything that you've done, and everything that you will continue to do, Father. We love you, and it's in Jesus, Yeshua's name we pray. Amen. And with that, I thank you guys for joining me here on Unfiltered Vision News. We will be back next week on Monday. So remember, stay well, stay focused, and stay unfiltered. We'll see you in the next one.